The Drug Alternative Program presents Drugs Close to Home. Your weekly insight into the ongoing stories of struggle, victory, and the spiritual renewal of rehabilitation. Each week, Cliff and Freddie Harris, co-founders of the Drug Alternative Program, would like to introduce you to the many people who have touched their lives through their spirit-filled ministry. But most of all, they would like to share with you the blessings they continue to receive from Jesus Christ. And now, your hosts of Drugs Close to Home, Cliff and Freddie Harris.
Welcome to Drugs Close to Home, a program about the destruction that drugs causes our families.
And the power of Jesus Christ that will heal them. You know, I believe every life is worth saving.
And you know, that is so true, Freddie, because every changed life is a miracle from God.
Amen. You know, we are published authors. You'll see our books here. My book is yours truly. Cliff's book is Death Dance, his autobiography. You know, I love to write letters to the Lord, and my book is a compilation of many letters telling my story. And I also like to write letters to my husband. So I wrote a little note to him on July 17th, 2012. This is what I said, and it's on my One Red Rose stationery too. But I said to
Wait a minute before you read that. It says here, to my honey, y'all. She calls me her honey. Go ahead.
To my honey, sugar lump, lover, and husband.
All right.
There are no words.
Sugar lump and lover.
There are no words in the dictionary to describe the joy and happiness you have brought into my life. I thank my Abba Father often for bringing you into existence just for me.
Just for you.
Growing old with you is sweet, and I love you with all the gusto and love of God that I possess. Your contented wife. P.S. How sweet it is to be loved by you.
Girl, you so crazy. You know, when she says to me, what really gets me is she says this on her notes that she sends to me all the time, your contented wife. So that tells me I must be doing something right. And that is, and I want to tell you men out there, how many times do you really just tell your wife when she fixes a meal that it tastes good and thank you? And I know I do that with you all the time, even if it tastes bad. Not really, but I really do. I want to let you know how much I appreciate you and how much I really love you, girl. You don't know.
You show me.
Yes. All right.
Okay, today we have another client, Brian Brockway from Indiana. Yes. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we want you to tell the audience a little about yourself.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I'm from the South Bend, Indiana area.
How old are you?
I'm 26 years old, born and raised in Indiana.
And you know what, before you go any little further, you know, we're a little skeptical sometimes of taking them when they're really young.
Right.
Because they haven't gone through a lot of drama and, you know. But go ahead.
Okay. I grew up Adventist. I'm a fourth generation Adventist, so I grew up in the church, and I was a pathfinder. And but as I started to get older, I grew away from God. I got into girls and drugs, and that pushed me farther and farther away from God. But He never left me. And throughout my addiction, now that I look back, I see all the times that He had saved my life when I had overdosed, and He was always there to save me for a better reason in my life, you know.
So tell us some of the things that you know that you said, well, God saved you from when you overdosed or some drama or whatever. Mm-hmm. What is the most devastating thing you feel you've done? Not only to yourself, to your family, and also to God.
Sure. Well,
How old were you started doing drugs?
I was 13 years old when I started drinking and partying, and I was influenced by, you know, just the lifestyle. But my sister, I kind of looked up to her. She was in that lifestyle, and To me, that was fun, you know. I seen her enjoying it and having a good time, so I kind of wanted to.
So you did drugs together?
Not at first, but throughout my addiction, we had done drugs together, yes. But to get back to Mr. Harris's question, I think the most devastating thing that I have done to my family would have been just to hurt the ones I love, you know. My parents always there for me through everything, and
Any particular incident you can remember?
yeah, as before I come here, a few months before I come here, you know, I ended up robbing my parents and stealing stuff from their house, and just devastated them, you know. And that's a lot of a hurt that I'm fixing here in the program, because that's something that, you know, we always hurt the ones that are closest to us,
Right.
and that's what happened.
So how did you find out about drug alternative program?
Well, that's a good story. About 2 days before I came here, I had told my mom I wanted to get some help, and I knew of a place, which I did, but my real intentions weren't to get help. They were to get high. I talked her out of $50 for something else, not to get high. She didn't know that, but I ended up getting heroin, and I overdosed in Taco Bell, and as she was walking in, she found me on the floor there. So
Your mother?
my mother, you know, so that after that incident, I think that's when I was really serious now about I need to get some help. So the next day, my mother had contacted a lady from church. Her name is Barbara Hells, and her son Don Hells, and they had sent a client here before
Right.
in the past.
Anthony Gibbons, they sponsored him through the program.
Yes, ma'am. So she had contacted me, and it was 1 in the morning, and she said, "You need to call Cliff right now, Mr. Harris." And I said, "Nah, Ma, you know, I'll call him tomorrow, you know." And she said, "No, you need to call him right now." And I thank God for that, because I know if I would have waited the next day, I probably would have pushed it off, you know. And I called him, and the next day I was on a plane.
Well, tell me one of the most devastating things you did to your parents. I just don't tell me that I stole from them or I did this or pawned something. We all know that story.
Right.
Let's get deep down in it.
Okay. Well,
That you don't want the audience out there to know,
yeah.
because that's us. You know, we don't want to reveal ourselves. Yeah, I'll tell you, yes, I've been a drug addict and I stole and I lied and I cheated. That's good. That's okay. But let's get down to the story.
I just heard something a friend told me that really makes sense. She said, transparency is true ministry. I like that. You know, being transparent, being open, helping someone by your personal life is what she called true ministry. So we need you to be transparent.
Yeah. Well, despite of all that, I think the worst thing, how I affected my family, was just manipulating them, and especially my mother, because she loved me so much that I could speak to her and get things that I wanted. And it got to the point where I could remember where my dad had said that if my mom even talked to me anymore, that he was going to divorce her, because you know, I used her when I needed, you know, when I needed her for anything, and she was always there when I was homeless. She was there to feed me, give me clothes, bring me clothes, and I lost all her trust, all my family's trust. My sister, my good sister, even her trust I lost. I had an incident where I had robbed some kid for some money, and in retaliation, he had blew up my mom's car, which then my sister's car was next to it, so it also blew up her car.
Both cars were blown up.
Both cars, you know. So.
Well, what was the reaction? What did they think?
Well, they blamed me, you know, but my other sister was into drugs, so they didn't really know. But through that whole time, you know, I was denied it the whole time. I didn't, you know, I knew it in the back of my mind that it could have been for me, but Oh no, it wasn't me, you know.
Did they have insurance? Were they able to replace the cars?
Yeah, they had insurance and they replaced it, but you know that still does damage to them physically, you know, and mentally in their mind. Just to know what their son's really doing out there is you know, hurtful.
So they blew the car because you owed them for drugs, or?
Not owed them for drugs. I just had robbed them for money to get drugs.
Oh, I see. That was strong.
What if your mother had been in the car? What if they had just walked outside or
think about that.
somewhere near there?
Yeah.
You know? Your mother. This is your mama.
Yep.
Your mama.
And you have a good mama.
Yes.
I have a great mother.
Yes. And through all that drama, did it stop? Did you stop?
Never stopped. Just got worse.
Well, tell me how, what do you mean it got worse? Talk to me.
Okay. Well, throughout a part of my life, I was actually doing pretty well. You know, I had a good job, I had nice cars and my own house. But once I started really getting into the heroin, I was spending upwards to almost $200 a day at some times when I had the money. But slowly I'd say over a year of time, I was homeless, just like that. Lost everything, sold everything. You know, I mean, just was down to nothing. And then even after that, it didn't stop. I was still out there on the streets, hustling every money I could, donating plasma and blood, whatever way to get money just to get high.
To get high. And you know, that's all of us addicts. The drug becomes the #1 factor in our life. We will do anything. You know, we would even sell, this has happened, sell your children, steal from your children, steal from your mama. I used to steal from the neighbors down the street, just go right on down the block, everybody, you know, and use them. Well, look, listen, let's take a little break. And when we come back, we want to talk some more about your life and how you got here and what you're doing now and whatnot in your life, okay? Just stand by and we'll be right back.
Well, the program has been instrumental in introducing me, first of all, to my Lord and Savior, Jesus, and also introducing me to a new life of discipline and stability and responsibility.
I found that as I've been here, my mood and my temperament and my disposition has been improved. And it's been, to a large extent, been because I don't have that substance in my system anymore. But more than that, it's been my communication with God, you know, my spirituality. That has made the biggest difference in the way I feel, the way I act. So I'm no longer down like I used to be, you know. I'm slowly, gradually getting to a place where I'm kind of on an even keel, and the depression is subsiding.
I understand that what God did through, you know, through His power and through His will, you know, for me, that it's something that He wanted me. He prepared me, I guess, for this, and I try to understand that, because never in my wildest dreams that I thought I would be in a program like this, because it's just something that, if you would have told me then when I was in prison, you know, there's a program that, you know, will take care of you, give you a house, you know, give you a bed, give you food, put you to work, people that love you and people that care for you and people that will donate money for you to stay there, I would have told them they were crazy, man. I would have laughed at them and probably told them that they were crazy, but here I am, and by the grace of God, I'm here.
It's most definitely a program. You got to give it a chance, you know what I'm saying? And once you give it a chance and see what it's about, because it's no doubt that you won't fall in love with what's going on here at DAP.
Welcome back. We're talking to Brian Brockway, a client here at Drug Alternative Program. Brian, how long have you been here at Drug Alternative Program?
I have been here now 10 months.
10 months.
Yes,
Okay.
Now, what changes? How did you feel when you first came here?
How did I feel?
Yeah.
I was thinking this is a long time. I got to be here, you know, to get clean, you know. But you know, Mr. Harris, you don't think about all the other issues. It's not just getting off of the drug. You know, it's what makes you use and what personal character defects do you have that you have to change to make sure you don't use when you graduate the program.
We always say drugs is only the symptom.
That's right.
These other issues.
So tell us, what have you discovered about yourself?
Okay. Well, I found out that I'm controlling. I like to be in control of the situation. I like to be in charge, you know. I want things done my way. And if not, I'm angry. You know, I get angry a lot over little things, and sometimes it's not where I yell, but it's anger that's inside me. Inside me, correct.
That's why we have an anger management class going on now with Dr. Victoria Jackson and her husband, Craig Jackson, to help you guys with anger, because that's a major problem, you know, in your recovery.
So let's get into some of the feelings and things that you went through or that you're going through even right now or before, in the beginning when you came into the Drug Alternative Program. What?
Okay. Well, it was hard for me to accept the fact that I've been forgiven for all the things that I've done. And once I did, it was even harder to accept the fact that my family can forgive me. And just the thought of the trust that I have to rebuild with them for everything I've done to them. And
You know,
it was
that's
hard.
why when you first come in the program, Mrs. Harris gives you 5 chapters on forgiveness. Because if you cannot forgive yourself and forgive others, you're not going to make progress in this program. And it has really been beneficial to you guys. The first thing you do is forgive yourself and forgive others.
Yeah, and it's not easy, but I felt that when I finally could accept that I had been forgiven from God and from my family, and then have forgiven others who have hurt me, was just such a huge burden that was lifted off of me. And when that happened, then I felt like I could really get down and get this recovery going.
Do you know one thing, Brian, the most important thing, it doesn't matter if man doesn't want to forgive us, even if mama don't want to forgive us. It's God.
Right.
Will he forgive me? And he says, yes, I will forgive you. So, you know, people, humans can always have that resentment or anger toward you for what you've done to them or how they feel about it. But if God has forgiven you, that's all it is. Because that's only the way I'm going to make it in the kingdom.
Right.
You know, human beings are not going to get us in there. It's Jesus Christ. He's our advocate. He's going to go and stand before the Father for us. And so that's the one that, that's what I had to go through. My ex-wife didn't want to forgive me, and well, if my children didn't want to forgive me, that's okay. But I know God has. Do you think that Satan wanted you to be here?
Oh no, he still wants me back.
Yes.
You know, he's
So
always
what
there.
is God saying to you?
He's saying just do what's right. You know, love.
What else is he saying?
He's saying that he wants me to be on his side and go to heaven.
And
you know?
what else? Come on, I'm trying to get you to say the right thing.
Okay, I'm not sure
What are we talking about?
We're talking about forgiveness.
And who forgives who?
God.
God has forgiven you.
That's right.
And if he has forgiven you, he's got you here.
Yeah.
He's the one that he's saying to you, Brian, I love you. And then you say, but Lord, I don't deserve no forgiveness. Look what I have done. God says, I know who you are, son. I love you. And he has forgiven you. Take that and go with it, brother. And,
Amen.
and in this process, even that the change, when we say it's a miracle from God, that there's a changed life, then your mother, your mama, your sisters, your friends, your whoever will see that Brian is up here, and they will forgive you.
You know, a lot of the guys says, I can't pay back. I'm sure you say, I can't pay back to my mom or my dad or for 2 cars being blown up and all the money I've stolen. But what's the best way you can pay them back, Brian?
Staying clean.
That's right. A clean, sober life, a relationship with Christ. Hey, that covers everything. You don't have to worry about paying back. When they see that their son is transformed, hey, that's all they ask.
That's right.
That's cheap enough, right?
That's right. And I've already seen that from my mother.
Right.
You know, she calls me faithfully every week and makes sure I'm doing good.
And your little niece, what's her name?
Her name's Shyla.
Shyla, she writes little letters
She
to
writes
you
me.
and just shows you all kinds of love.
Yeah, I'm real close with her. She was born on my same birthday. So
Oh, okay.
She's
All
6,
right.
so every year we would celebrate our birthdays together. And you know, she loves me, and I.
Does she call you Uncle Brian?
Nope, she calls me Uncle B.
Uncle B.
Uncle B. All right, all right. And how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel so good, Mr. Harris. And recently I had gotten a call from my sister, my good sister, that I hadn't talked to in about 1.5 years because I blew her car up. And, you know, well, I didn't, but because of what I had done. And, you know, I briefly talked to her here and there at parties, but, you know, she never really fully forgiven me. And she had called me, and it was just...
And she's forgiven you.
Made my whole week.
Praise the Lord.
She allowed me to talk to her kids, my nephews, and it was just such an uplifting moment.
Amen.
So that's just who
makes you want to what?
Shout.
Shout.
That's just who?
Jesus.
That's right.
it.
That's just Jesus.
Yes. And you know what? You look at this another way. You're high. That's the high.
That's the good, the
That's
free
the
high.
good high. Yeah, free didn't, and it's still going on.
Still going.
Still going. Yes, sir. They can't beat that. That's better than the heroin, the cocaine, the goobler, all of that. It's
Put
best.
together.
Yes.
Right.
Put them all together. This is the true high, brother.
Right. Yeah. So what are your plans after you graduate?
Well, I would really like to go back to school, and I plan on going into medical. That's what I wanna
medical
do.
school. You're right here at Loma Linda University
Yeah,
Medical Center.
It's perfect. I would like to get into the nursing, be like an RN or somewhere in that field. I would like to go.
You know, we have a graduate, Anthony Frazier, graduated from the Drug Alternative Program, stayed in the transition house for 4 years, went to Loma Linda University, received his RN.
Wow.
Now he's married, living in Louisville, Kentucky, doing great. So
That's
he's
wonderful.
a great example for you.
That's right.
You know, a matter of fact, he just called us this morning.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he called this morning and wanted to talk, and I had to, Anthony, I got to go, you know, because we were doing our taping and whatnot. So anyway, you can be the man that you really want to be if you just stay focused on it. There are going to be trials, there are going to be tribulations, there are going to be disappointments. And you know one thing that causes us to go back? Pressure. Yeah. And pressure in this life, it's going to come. So you got to learn how to deal with pressure. Even the little things that happen to you here in DAP, you feel pressured because of this situation, or you on the job and you don't like this, or somebody said something to you and I don't want to go to work, or whatever it was. It's pressure. So, but if you deal with the pressure in the right way, then I don't have to use drugs to deal with my pressure. Because you can't get high here, because if you do, it will be seen.
Right.
Tell the audience what a day is like here at Drug Alternative Program.
Okay. It's like normal life, you know. We wake up.
What time do you have to
4
get
o'clock
up?
in the morning.
4 o'clock?
which would be normally when I was going to bed. So,
When you were getting high.
Yeah, when I was getting high. So we'd wake up, and you know, we cook breakfast. We have one guy in the house cooks breakfast for us all.
So you guys are totally self-sufficient, right?
Self-sufficient.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
We cook. You know, we do our own laundry. We do our own dishes, and then we go to work. We go to work like a normal 8-hour
What do you do
day.
before you go to work, though?
Oh, we do every morning. We have worship to start our day off in the right way.
Right,
And
right.
we, we sing some songs and do our Sabbath school lesson.
And you guys, they have to write their answers out. They have to study the word. You know, it's not just reading. They're in a class. They do their Sabbath school lesson.
And you know what's so funny? Sometimes they'll try to fake it that, oh yeah, I studied the lesson, and they'll just try to read it out, what the verses said. But when you make them write it out, they have to sit there and do that.
Right.
And that's the key. And you have to write and then read your answers out. So, you know, there's always some that try to get by without doing it, you know.
So after worship,
Yeah, after worship, then we go to work. And we work our 8-hour day, and then we come home and, we shower up and come home to a beautiful home, and we eat dinner, and then we go on to, we
What
have
happens on Monday nights?
right now, anger management
Monday night
class.
we have anger management, yep, with Dr. Jackson and Mrs. and Mr. Dr. Jackson. And we have anger management, and then we have a group setting with
On
Mr.
Tuesday
Dooley.
nights?
On Tuesdays, Mr. Dooley, and I wanted to say when you guys were talking about temptations and all that, Mr. Dooley will always tell us that throughout all this, the devil's in the corner doing push-ups. He's getting stronger, waiting for us to
Right.
just slip up so
Yeah.
he can get us back.
Right.
And that's something I want to say. And then on Wednesday night we go to Bible study with Pastor Christian, and that's always good to help us get closer to God, which
Right.
is so crucial, And on Thursdays we just kind of hang out,
Free
and
night.
relax, and just catch up on godly stuff or whatever else we have to do.
Right. So you have a strict regimen, and you guys, it's set up like everyday living.
It is.
And if you follow this pattern, Ms. Harris say, hey, when you walk out of here, you can continue.
You're good to go.
Right?
Yeah.
Good to go.
That's right.
Well, we're so glad to have you. We're running out of time, but
Thank you.
keep focused, and you'll make it. And I
Yes, sir.
believe in you.
Thank you.
And I trust you, too.
Thank you.
Okay?
And you'll be one of our youngest graduates, because guys in the 20s, we don't have very many of those. So we're expecting big things from you, because
Good.
there's so many guys out there like you just waiting
That's
to
right.
hear what you have to say.
And it would be wonderful to help younger people.
Yes.
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 Tell them about our book, Sonny.
Well, we have our books here.
Get one over there.
This is Mr. Harris's book, Death Dance, which is his biography. And I have my book, Yours Truly. And this is my story through letter writing to God. So if you be interested in these books, you can look us up on the internet, Drug Alternative Program, and it will be good reading for you.
Just give us a call, and we can tell you how you can get our books, okay? And we want to let you know that we love you,
And Jesus loves you even more.
and we'll see you next time.